Hello, mic test. Good morning once again to our friends from the media. Welcome to our third and final day of sideline press conferences to the Apec finance-related meetings here in Cebu. As you all know by now, the Cebu Action Plan has been firmed up, or not overnight. Actually, the process of developing and drafting the CAP took a series of workshops and meetings hosted by the Philippines as early as January in various parts of the country. The inputs were gathered from other finance officials across APEC member economies, but besides them, the Philippines and other APEC member economies also gathered valuable inputs from development partners, such as the International Monetary Fund. So valuable inputs from development partners, such as regional economic outlooks, are very, very helpful as they properly guide in the development of the roadmap. So I am pleased to introduce to you our two very special guests for this round of press conference. We have IMF Deputy Managing Director Mitsuhiro Furusawa and IMF Regional Director for Regional Office for Asia Pacific, Mr. Brekk. So we are going to ask Mr. Furusawa to deliver an opening statement, and then we can open the floor to Q&A. So, Mr. Furusawa.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. First of all, I'd like to thank the Philippine people and Philippine authorities for the warm welcome and very organized meeting. And we're very happy to join this conference. And this morning session, I made a presentation of the global economic outlook and the challenges we're facing. It is basically based on our revised WEO in July. We are right now working for the revision for the next month annual meetings, and I explained the current world economic outlook and the challenges. Regarding the Philippine economy, we congratulate the good performance of the economy, and also the SEB action plan. It is the very good output of the meeting, which addresses a lot of challenges of the region. So with that, would you like to say something? No? With that, I will receive your questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Furusawa. So we are now opening the floor to questions as in our previous press conferences. Some house rules. If you have questions, please raise your hand. Allow me to acknowledge you. And please proceed to the mic and then identify your name and your affiliation. So who wants to ask the first question? Yes, please.
Good morning. I'm Ferliza Contratista of PIA Cebu. I would like to ask Sir Furusawa how does the Philippines compare with other developing economies in weathering the external shocks?
I think that as I said, that the current economic performance is quite good, and relatively compared with the other neighboring countries, the trade relation with China is less than other neighboring countries. So we think that the spillover effects, the Philippines will less affected by the slowdown of the Chinese economy. And again, we congratulate the good performance and the good macroeconomic policy of the Philippine government. Maybe you would like to add any words?
Okay, yes, we think that the Philippine economy is quite robust to developments in the world economy at this point. Lower oil prices, if of course it's a positive for the Philippine economy, since it's an oil importing country, net importer of oil. In terms of financial situation and spillovers from shifts in financial markets internationally, we also think that the Philippines is quite robust. It has a flexible exchange rate policy. It has fiscal space or monetary policy space to respond. It has a current account surplus, a reasonable level of reserves. So in general, we think it's quite well placed to manage spillovers from the global developments.
Okay, thank you. Yes, please.
Sir, the Philippines has been experiencing very low inflation. Do you think the Philippines has already bottomed out in terms of inflation? Because, of course, we don't want negative inflation. So, what's your outlook on oil prices and for the Philippines in terms of inflation? What's your take on that?
Regarding the oil prices, because of the resilient supply and the prospect of the global demand, we don't expect the rapid increase of the oil prices. And regarding the inflation, it's not only the question of the Philippines. In many countries in the world, we face the risk of the low inflation, and the important thing that we should implement the appropriate macroeconomic policy to avoid the negative interest rate. And for the Philippines, maybe I will add words for say something about that. I don't think that we don't think that there's the strong risk of the negative inflation or rather the rapid inflation.
Right, thank you. Well, as you know, the central bank in the Philippines is targeting inflation at 3% plus minus 1%. Inflation has been at the lower end of that range for some time, and the central bank has been on hold, I think, for about a year now. We think this is the appropriate stance at this point. We don't see any signs of overheating in the economy, but the output gap is close to zero at this point. Credit growth, which was fairly high, has moderated. You put all this together, we think that monetary policy stance at this point is appropriate. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions? Yes.
Good morning. I'm Mikhail Flores of Business World. In your World Economic Outlook update in July, you see developing Asia growing at 6.6% and 6.4% respectively for this year and the next. But last month, we've seen some financial volatility, primarily arising from the devaluation of the yuan. So when you hold the meetings next month, will there be a revision in the forecasts for the region, and also if you have also revisions for the Philippines, and what will be the drivers of growth for the region, as well as what should be the risks that economy should be considering, or should be watchful for? Thank you.
As I said, we are now working for our newer projection. We can say the specific number at this point. We'll release it next month at the time of the annual meeting in Lima. Regarding I think that this region has the strength in terms of the interconnectedness. and there will be the synergy effect. And we think that this region continue to be the global economic driver. About specific numbers, I can't say for the moment.
Right. Well, maybe just to add a few points on this in terms of factors that are driving growth in the APEC region at this point. The situation, as you know, is a little different in advanced economies and in emerging market economies. In advanced economies, we see a slow pickup taking hold, whereas in emerging markets, growth rates are declining. Now, behind this, in advanced economies, we see favorable conditions for a near-term pickup. These include easy financial conditions, less fiscal drag, and lower energy prices. In emerging markets, in contrast, there's a range of factors that are holding back growth in the near term, and especially spillovers from from monetary policy or financial spillovers from advanced economies. And also, if you took a longer-term view, the longer-term prospects in both advanced economies and emerging markets are more subdued than they were a couple of years ago. And in advanced economies, this is a combination of lower investment, unfavorable demographics, lower productivity growth behind. And we see some of the same factors in emerging markets, but of course the slowdown in China, less reliance on import-intensive investment is having an effect. There's adjustment going on in credit and in credit after the investment booms, and of course commodity exporters are negatively affected by lower commodity prices. So there's a mix of factors driving, but we see an overall more subdued long-term growth outlook for both advanced and emerging markets. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Since our speakers will have to go back to the meeting, perhaps we can accommodate one last question, 1 to 2 quick questions from the floor, if there are still any. Okay. No more? No more? Okay, so for your closing statements, gentlemen, top of the agenda of this APEC meetings is the Cebu Action Plan. As the world, the economy remains fragile, and as economies become more interconnected, vulnerability is becoming more pronounced. So, with the Cebu Action, what role can the Cebu Action Plan play in this scenario?
Well, we think it can play a very useful role. The main challenge facing both advanced and emerging markets at this point, as is clear from what we just said, is to stimulate growth both in the short term and in the long term. And by focusing on financial integration, fiscal transparency, and so on, the Cebu Action Plan is addressing some of the key issues that countries have to grapple with in achieving higher growth.
Okay, thank you very much to our 2 special guests from the International Monetary Fund, and thank you also to our friends from the media for your participation. I'll see you again for another round of press conference at 12:30. Thank you.